All right, guys. Hey, lie down. So yesterday you had your assignment. Actually, I put it out on Wednesday. Day in the life of Louis the 14th. You guys should be done with it now. The cartoon. I was looking through some of them. I like them. They're pretty good. Um, anyway, hopefully you guys answered the questions. It should have been just a little bit more information about what we talked about with Louis the 14th. How he was this absolute monarch, this divine right ruler, and how he lived this luxury life. Holy, right? Anyway, there are the questions here at the bottom, and then the cartoon. I hope you guys were creative. You could use Canva, could use the Sketch app. If you want to draw it out on paper, that's fine too. But overall, I thought some were pretty good. Some maybe a little bit more effort, but again, have that turned in. I'm going to grade that hopefully by the end of the day here today. Anyway, here's one I saw, which I thought was funny. Here's Kaden Crumbs. She kind of did like this comic strip. Oh, all right, good morning. Go make me breakfast. Will do. I don't care anything should be about me. Everything should be about me. So when the nobility's asking them or are trying to tell Louis the 14th about some of the issues in France, he's like, I don't really care. And anyway, she tried to put it in the bottom. Well, she did. Now in the Venus room, so the love room, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I thought it was it. I don't know what's so funny about the Venus room, but anyway, I guess it's that joke, right, Olivia? All right, Jenna and Discovery where we had one. Okay, yeah. Anyway, there's other ones too, which I thought were good. Let's look at who's Audrina. Okay, that's what I was looking for. People to jump in here and tell, what is this? Oh my gosh. Walking in his garden for air. All right. Yep. So when you guys read, obviously, he talked a little bit about going outside and hunting for stag, right? What did they say about his shot? Was he a good shot? Was he? Yeah, right. He was a first class shot. Anyway, probably someone wouldn't want to argue against that. They might find themselves on the other end of the barrel, maybe. Who knows? Wow, Audrina, that was really talented. Are you in art class? All right, well, I'll tell Mr. Miller about it. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
Wait, you don't Mr. Bone.
What, yours? Whose? Chase. All right. Let's go with Chase. See what we got here, Chase. Whoa. All right, Chase. What do we got going on here? Wakey, wakey, Louie. Holy water. Yes. Okay. They bathed him down every morning. What'd they say about Louis? Did he sweat a lot? Yeah, he sweated profusely. So they had to kind of sponge him down every morning. Kind of weird. Bring in his wet nurse. What? Geez. Anything about a wet nurse? It's usually typically for babies. So Louis, what? Oh my gosh, kind of strange. Hey, what else do you got here? Can't really.
Here's my to-do list today.
Oh, okay. He's telling nobility. He's like, hey, this is what I got going on. He was strict to a routine, wasn't he? Yeah, he's very strict to it. And he would follow that day in and day out. All right, what else you got? Hunting. Oh, look at him behind the tree. Gotcha, buddy. All right, cool. What else you got?
There's him feeding his dog, Dexter.
Oh, Dexter. Okay. All right.
That's he's hunting that. Wow.
Yeah, look at that. And the dog. All right. Who else slept in his room? I thought this was strange.
I think he's like his maid person.
Yeah, servant, right? Oh, kind of weird. Kind of weird. All right, neat. What time to eat dinner? I thought this stuck out too. What time to eat dinner finally? A lot of people were getting upset, especially his family members, like, hey, can we get this show on the road here, Naomi? It was like 11 o'clock at night. He was eating dinner. It's like, what are you doing? Let's go. We want to go to bed. I thought it was weird too. They talked a little bit about how before he go to bed too, he'd play like different types of games with his children and his grandchildren. So you can kind of see the age gap there, kind of weird, kind of strange. But anyway, when you're fit to be a king, things like this happen, I guess. Anybody else want to share their cartoon? Who? Cade? Did you do it? Oh, okay. All right. Let's see what we got here, Cade. Oh, should I even show it then? Yeah, well. Wow. Wow. There's a lot of effort there. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Okay. You guys get the gist there with that activity. All right, guys. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Russia a little bit more. Okay, Louis the 14th. Again, that ultimate divine right ruler. Whenever you think about an absolute monarch, that's typically who you think of. What was his nickname again? Louis the 14th? Jason? Sun King. Wow, man, you're ready to go, huh? All right, what was his palace that he created? Oh, Maddie, go ahead. Yeah, good. Palace of Versailles. Good. All right. We talked about some of the rooms, which, again, I guess Aiden really likes the Venus room. I'm not sure, but anyway, there's the Hall of Mirrors. Right? We talked about the war room, where a lot of these generals of France have gathered to talk about certain strategies and plans, and he would depict many of France's major battles and scenes of battle. Right? He even depict himself as somewhat of a war general when never stepped foot out on the battlefield himself. But anyway, one thing to note about the Palace of Versailles is that he is bringing a sense of the Renaissance, this rebirth, this art, this culture to France. Right? It's not just in Italy anymore. That's something to think about from last chapter. Okay? We good? All right. Anyway, yesterday we talked about Ivan the Terrible. Ooh, was he terrible? Anyway, think about how he ruled over Russia, how he united it. All right, maybe the use of, ooh, there's some French thing, maybe. All right, there you go. As you guys are working, I'm gonna come around and check your bell ringers. How many should we have here? 3? 2? 3? 2.
We have 4.
Wait, more from Ashley?
Wait, last week too?
Did I shut last week?
We have them all.
Anyway, I'll just look and see what you have, okay? Does that work? All right, perfect. Naomi, I like your part too. You're like, I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but I'm like, yeah, it's good. I should have showed you.
I think you can keep
Like your current one too, good. Keeping us in line with politics around the world there. I'm glad you really have that too, what we're talking about. You watch that Eagles game?
I don't have it. I wanted to.
Yeah.
Chase, just be glad you did.
What?
It was kind of a, well, it was just, yeah, so both teams were actually.
Hey, let's find out. Come on now. How was your refresher?
It's only good. Right?
Everything?
They put too much green tea in it. I mean, why did you never want some more?
You have one
green
too?
tea?
Yeah, anyway. Ready to load it up. Oh, I'm getting all that. What's the expense? Jeez. Don't forget your folders and stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, he loves your fights.
Okay.
Nice cartoon. He should work for like, loading or something. Good. Yeah, right? Walk in school that.
You're right. Good for you.
Is there any ride?
Scott, I'm getting mine off in January. Well, that's what they told me.
How's your brother doing? Good? See about the wood up there? Yeah, it looks right. What do you need? Yeah, I'm sorry. You ever see the movie Hot Rod? Okay, never mind. No, you need that, you see it 20 times. Like, I never saw the movie. Oh, you're here. They got $10 out there. No, I'm kidding. Who's getting it up? No, I don't know about that.
There's finally been whoever my favorite that's good. No, that's great.
You watch it, you know, for this.
And she's gonna, yes, I like. And I was, what? He just told me he had self because his locker wasn't.
You didn't have any first floor, so like.
So I walked up and I said, there was a so, but it's over here.
That's a bad placement. All right, guys, can we go over this as I continue to check? All right, real quick, guys, so Ivan the Terrible, Russia. What do we know about Russia? Were they as modernized as these Western European countries? Were they, Audrina?
No.
No, right? They're very far behind. Okay, so when it comes to the sophistication, the art, the culture, the education of the time of the Renaissance, they did in Russia, right? Also, were they united yet? Were they, Jason? No, right? They're split up amongst all these different cultures. Again, these people had different cultures, languages, and once you mix them together, they don't mesh right away. It's very difficult here to bring a lot of groups of people together in under one regime. Anyway, so for Ivan the Terrible, he realized the only way that Russia, I know it wasn't Russia yet, but it was called Muscovy, is where Moscow is, could unite and come together is if that he would bring these territories together, right? Well, obviously compete with these Western European countries. Says we need to unite. Okay, how did he unite them? Was he a fearful leader? Was he? Is that why I got the nickname right? Naomi, go ahead.
Yeah, he controlled Russia with his oppression.
Yeah, good job. What is the oppression? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Policemen, guards.
Yeah, good job, right? So they call this like a paramilitary group. So in other words, it's like his bodyguards, right? His secret service, so to speak, but they actually go out and eliminate anybody that might oppose his power, oppose his rule. So with the oppression, I showed you a picture yesterday. There they are riding with their black capes and hoods and taking out anybody that isn't abiding by the Russian culture or the language or embracing Christianity. So it's more of a Russian Orthodox view of it. So it's not totally what we know of Christianity that we've been talking about this whole time, but it's a different twist to it. Anyway, with Ivan the Terrible, what else do we know about him? What else do we know? What kind of stuck out? All right, Luna, what else do we
He
know?
built his son.
Yeah, he did. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? What was this all about? Go ahead, Lana. Yes. All right, so he used a scepter. You guys know what a scepter is, like a cane, right? Something he walks around with, especially these. What is it? Cane? What do they call them in Russia? Oh, Jason. A czar, good. You guys read a story or something in English right now? You talk about a czar. So I know the spelling, it could be a T or a C, you know, obviously, C-A-R, but anyway, for Ivan the Terrible, he was successful in uniting these smaller kingdoms together and bringing it under one regime, under one rule of Russia. And yeah, that often comes up about that painting where he kills his son because his son's wife, who's pregnant, oh, geez, was wearing something scandalous for him anyway.
She was
For his own
looking
case.
at her underwear.
Whoa, watch it. Okay. Anyway, so he boom, whacks him over the head, kills him. And then that portrait, which was painted in the 1800s, that kind of depicts Ivan the Terrible's mindset at the time. Anyway, his wife was believed to be poisoned. Right? His wife's name was Anastasia, not the one you're thinking of, not just yet. But as she was poisoned, he was going kind of crazy. Right? He had extreme paranoia that someone was going to maybe off him next. So with that, kind of just drove him a little bit mad. Right? He's bipolar in many cases, I can see it said. Anyway, what happens though? Russia does unify. And this is going to set the stage here for another leader to really expand Russia into becoming a dominant power here in Europe. All right, so there he is, the Oprechnik, Ivan the Terrible. Boy, was he terrible, huh? Anyway, here are your terms for today. We're going to talk about Peter the Great today. Peter the Great, yup. Here we go. And what time's this period end? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know how far we're going to get into it, but anyway, make sure you guys turn in your assignment, A Day in the Life of Louis XIV. Here you go. So Peter the Great Northern War. What? Jeez. St. Petersburg. Oh, you can probably know who that's named after, right? Peter the Great, St. Petersburg. Makes sense. Anyway, we'll talk about it. St. Petersburg is gonna go through a name change. We're gonna mention that when we get closer here to the end of World War One, closer to World War Two. It's gonna be known as Leningrad. Right, so maybe you heard of Leningrad before. Anyway, the Winter Palace. So one thing here to note was St. Petersburg, right? As you guys are jotting down your terms here, you can write down a window to the west, right? You can put that in quotes, the window to the west, right? So this city is going to be this embodiment of what Europe is. So with Peter the Great, his goal is to try to modernize Russia, right? His goal is to try to bring Russia to become a modernized country. The only way he can do that is if he brings some of his influence from France, from Italy, right? Even let's say from England here to Russia. So that they can adapt and evolve it into becoming a strong power, like these other European countries. Also, as you can see, yeah, he's gonna go to war, okay? So he's gonna try to expand and try to have access to the seas. Right, with access to the seas, he can create a what? Which is very important for this time. Jason.
Created the
The Navy, yeah, good job. And with that, well, Europe, well, for Russia, they can maybe expand and try to colonize lands, just like these other European countries are. All right, anyway, St. Petersburg, there's another name you can put by it too. The city built on bones. Jeez. All right, so St. Petersburg, Russia, not Florida. Don't put Florida in conflict with that. Anyway, with St. Petersburg, Russia, this is known as the city built on bones. Peter the Great decided to build this city as a window to the west, but also he decided to build it where a swamp is. So they had to drain out a lot of water. And as they're doing that, thousands of people died in this process. They're trying to fill it up with soil, different types of rock and debris to build this city. It wasn't the greatest location to build it, but that's where he wanted it. So, well, thousands of people died, so be it. Anyway, the Winter Palace. So last thing here, the Winter Palace. This is going to be something again that Russia is going to try to take claim to. A symbol that they can create. Right. We just talked about the St. Basil Cathedral with Ivan the Terrible in the Red Square in Moscow. I'm sure you guys maybe have seen that cathedral before. Anyway, for Peter the Great, he wanted to create again this European city more, and the Winter Palace is going to be kind of like Russia's Palace of Versailles. If that makes sense. So like I know France has a Palace of Versailles. Russia is trying to make something similar. So the Winter Palace is going to be their palace for their leader. So for Peter the Great. Anyway, there you guys go. I'll give you guys some time. We're gonna run low on time here, but here's what it is. I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown. So then on Monday, I guess we can hit the ground running. Peter the Great, 6'9". This guy was 6'9". Right. So think about LeBron James, he's 6'9". So this guy walking around during this time, he towered over everybody. Right. This person was definitely large for the time period. So obviously, when it comes to bringing order to Russia, you see this guy walking in the room, literally ducking through doorways, right? People are going to listen to him, right? He had that height advantage. He can intimidate many people. Also, for Peter the Great, he did take some time and study in France, right? He tried to educate himself with the newest trends of culture, of language, of sophistication, right? And he wants to bring it back to Russia. He wants to evolve Russia into becoming a European power, just like France. So he did some time studying in France, okay? And as he comes back, well, there's actually some stories of how he wants to change the boyars' look and appeal. So he literally bring them in and cut their beards, right? Even cut their clothing to try to be more representative of what Europeans look like, what the latest trends in fashion are, right? In other words, these Russians look like barbarians in a way. So he's like, we need to change. If we want to try to fit in, if we want to try to keep up with the status quo of Europe, we got to look the part. We got to act the part. You can imagine, right, at the dinner table, these Russian men here, these boyars here are eating with their hands and getting all over the place. And he's like, no, calm down. We actually got to use utensils, right? So you can kind of picture that in your mind. It's like, hey, let's stop grabbing food and throwing it down over the face. Hey, let's actually use utensils and have some sort of an etiquette here, right? Come on. All right, so in other words, he evolved it. Also, like I mentioned, the biggest thing here is that he's going to claim a lot of land. He beats Sweden in a war, right? And he actually takes a lot of land close to the Baltic Sea, which is right up here. Also expands into what we know of modern day Ukraine. So you can maybe see why Russia wants to come in this land. It says this theirs, right? So you can see how current events play a role. So he pushes way up here to the Baltic Sea, plays a lot of land up here, right? And also down here in the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. Right, with that, he has access to the water, right? Yeah, so now he can build up a navy. This guy was such a strong leader, in a way, he wanted to show that he could do it himself. So he actually went to the shipyards himself as the czar, the king, and actually worked on these ships to build a navy. You gotta imagine, people were like, you know what, if he's here getting his hands dirty, right, he's gonna be a strong leader moving forward. The Peter the Great was a little different than Matera. He lead and control the warrior, yeah, but, right, you gotta let more fighting in. The guy was 6'9", who's gonna threaten anything, right? Imagine that. All right, anyway, any questions, guys? Any questions? Again, I'm gonna talk about this more on Monday, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an understanding before we move on. Oh, perfect timing. See you. Make sure you get that assignment turned in.